Mark, how you doing, man? Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us.
I am awesome, Kwame. Good afternoon to you.
Definitely, man. We appreciate you being here with us during National Mentoring Month. January is a very special month for us where we raise up just the power of mentorship and having leaders like yourself in the community, being a part of that to help us support the work we do at Big Brothers and Big Sisters. So we appreciate you, man. And when all the, folks who are tuning in to know who you are, maybe introduce yourself, tell us a little about yourself and, how you got connected to us.
Absolutely. First of all, I want to congratulate Big Brothers and Big Sisters. I know that one of the things that you have that I was reading through is every child deserves a chance to see their realized potential, but matching them with adult mentors. And I think that is critical, right? As you're a young youth coming up in the neighborhood and society, to be able to have some good quality mentors to help guide you through different stages of your life, which we'll probably talk about, right? Because you need mentors in different stages of your life that's been there. So I'll definitely talk about that one that slapped me dead in my face when I had to hear it, but it was definitely important for me to hear. My name is Mark Conley. I am the Director of Consumer Sales for the state of Georgia. So when you think about consumer sales, think about our retail distribution and our agent distribution for really the Atlanta metro area and other parts of Georgia as well. My top three mentors that I had in my life that when I really think about it is my mom, number one. I grew up in a single parent household. I saw my dad 3 times by the time I graduated high school. So in my mind, there's a thought that there's no reason that I could possibly succeed. But my mom always gave me good quality advice. And I had a village behind me that maybe we'll talk about in a little bit. But I think that my mom, growing up through, but definitely through my early childhood until she passed a few years ago. So I would say that's number one by far. And number two is a senior level vice president for Verizon. And Kwame, this is the one that slapped me dead in my face. I'm a mama's boy. I'm the youngest of 4. And I was talking to my mom about the senior VP. I was talking to the senior VP about my mom, and she just said very bluntly, we had a relationship. Your mom cannot teach you how to become a VP in a Fortune 500 company. She can't. And I didn't like it, but it was true. And what she was telling me is that your world is bigger now. And you need to find mentors that can help you navigate these next stages of your life, being an executive of a Fortune 500 company, right? You gotta have that. And that was some very good advice that I got, because then I began to reach out and get those. And I began to make better decisions. I began to be more prepared for meetings. I began to become more strategic. I began to become more thoughtful about my actions and how I wanted to do it, more intentional. My mom was always there. She was always my cheerleader. She kept me grounded, but I needed that extra push to get me over. And then lastly, this sounds really bad too, but it's like my financial advisor, man. Like, look, at the end of the day, once again, I didn't grow up with a father, so I didn't have those financial conversations, right? Like, I didn't know about 401k. I didn't know about all of these financial pieces. A financial advisor years ago, I have 3 girls, years ago, taught me about 529 plan, right? And I know different people have different concepts of how they want to save for college, but this was brilliant for me because he taught me about the 529 plan. I got a 26-year-old daughter, began saving when she was 5. Over the last but about 3 years ago, she graduated from Georgia State. The only reason that I was able to pay for that was through the 529 plan, and I had that money set aside. Now I do it for my 9-year-old daughter, and I got one that's 15. So that's just a small example of financial wellness and health that definitely helped me throughout the years. And obviously now we're expanding that and had expanded conversations, just about our future, right? My wife and our future for retirement and things of that nature. So that's been a big mentor in my life. So those are the top 3 that I can think of. There's been a lot, but those are what been some very defining moments in my life.
Definitely. Well, you hit on quite a bit of topics, man, and a lot of them were hitting home for myself. And it sounds like you've had some, informal mentors and then some professional mentors along the way with you, which is important. And it also sounds like you've been able to ask for help, when you along the way, and particularly in your professional life, where some of us as leaders try to do it all on our own. We need mentors and also, advisors, coaches to help us get there. And just hats off to you, man, for being able to make it from all the different things. And you didn't talk about all of it. I'm sure there's a lot more, but not having your father in your life to being a leader in a major, Fortune 500 company, a leader of color is definitely an example for the rest of all of us, So, as you've had to go through this walk of life into current, family, work, all of it, like what continues to motivate you and inspire you? Where do you get that motivation and inspiration from?
It's interesting that you asked that question, Kwame. I'm not trying to bring in props, but hopefully you can see this. That right there is a picture of my grandparents moving. That was the last picture they took before they moved from Paris, Tennessee, to try to start a better life for their family, which ultimately that was my mom and her siblings. And to be quite frank with you, and I've always tried to be as transparent as possible. But when I became an executive 5 years ago, I didn't have that picture on my wall per se, right, on my desk per se, because of corporate America. When I became more ingrained in who I was as a leader, what happened? That picture went up when I became more confident. And I think one of the things that you cannot ever underestimate as a leader and as a mentor is confidence. The confidence to be yourself, the confidence to bring your whole self to work. That's a good buzzword now, but it's real. Like, why wouldn't I put that picture up? I had it up in my house, right? I had it up in every other place. I had it up in other places. But I didn't know if corporate America was ready for it yet. I mean, look, that's sharecroppers right there, Kwame. I mean, that's real sharecroppers, right? Right there. So, that's my inspiration, right? The sacrifices that my grandparents made, that my mom made, that my aunt made. My oldest brother is a college professor at the University of Purdue. My next brother, he's a dean of library in Miami, Ohio. And my sister was the first Black attorney in our county. Once again, single parent home, high standards and high expectations for our family. So that's my greatest inspiration at the end of the day. That's what keeps me going. We talked about transitioning in life, right? We get in different stages of life, things change. Ultimately, now it's my family, right? Making sure that I can provide for my family in the best ways possible for them. And once again, I got 3 girls and a wife. Been married 21 years, and it's been a blessing. That's where my motivation comes from, and greatest inspiration.
Well, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. I'm a big supporter of sharing your story. I think your story is your superpower. Too often, we don't, like you shared about the picture on your desk. That's part of your story. That's part of who you are. And without being able to do that, like you said, that confidence level is not to this. You're not living in your story. You're not being 100% of who you are. And what another question I had, and I see Bryson here. Hey, Bryson, how's it going, man? Good to see you. We're going to loop you into the conversation as well. But would be around like your superpower, right? So I believe we're all given gifts. We're all good at different things. And I think ideally, if you can find your passion and also find your superpower and marry them together, that's how you get to the level that you're at as a leader in the world. But what do you think would be your superpowers? What are you uniquely gifted at, good at, that you would consider your superpower?
Yeah. So I think bringing people together, right? Getting people motivated and engaged upon one cause, I think I'm really good at that. I think I'm a good developer of people. I'm a people leader. I believe at the end of the day, people drive performance. So I think those are some of my superpowers. When we took I know you're probably familiar with Kwame, the Clifton Strengths Finder, right? All of Verizon went through it, and one of my biggest strengths was just around relationships, right? And I think that's good and bad, right? And I want to give Bryson time I don't want to take up the time since Bryson's here, but it's good and bad. When I think about relationships, I'm big on relationships, but I'm very tight with it and from a trust standpoint, right? To be able to get into my circle. And I know that comes from my upbringing. My mom used to always tell us, and you're going to laugh at this, don't put your business out on the street, like single parent household. That's where I came from, right? So I think that I'm still dealing with some of those things, even though, we continue to navigate. But I think building relationships and getting the team to work together is definitely one of my superpowers. I think you're on mute, Kwame.
I'm on. What I was going to say was, all right, back again. We're going to edit this and splice it just so you all know. So what I was going to say, Mark, is we covered your questions. So I'm actually going to shift to Bryson. If you want to stay on, for sure. But what I want to do is thank you again, Mark, for your leadership in the community. Thank you for being a part of our Iconic Mentor Auction and sharing some of these golden nuggets with our community. And we're going to be sharing this in different ways, and just appreciate you and also Verizon being a part of National Mentoring Month and supporting big brothers and big sisters.
All right. Appreciate it. It was a great opportunity. Any way I can help the organization, I'll be more than happy to. You guys have a good day. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Hey, Bryson, how's it going? And take your time.
I apologize for being so late. I was caught up in something that I couldn't get out of. So
no problem. No problem. We're glad to have you here. And if you're ready to go, I think the lighting is fine, and we can jump right in. If that
great. I apologize again, but happy to jump right in.
Okay, no problem. Well, Bryson, welcome. Thank you for being a part of our National Mentoring Month Iconic Mentor Auction. We would love for our viewers to, get to know you a little bit. And I know you're a leader at Equifax, and you all have been a longstanding partner with our organization supporting mentorship throughout the community. So just tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe one mentor outside of your parents that really stands out to you.
Absolutely. So I'm the chief technology product data and analytics officer here at Equifax. And, I've been in Atlanta for over 25 years and, been on the board of Habitat for Humanity, been on the board of TechBridge, board of TAG, and just really love, being connected with our amazing community and doing everything I can to give back. And I always find that, giving back to me is really all about, how do I help others more personally and directly, live their best? We all have experiences, we all have things we've gone through in our lives, and we all have, ways to share and help. And, to me, being able to give back is so important. And, one of my most amazing mentors was a boss that I had, Eric Pearson. Eric was my boss when I was at Intercontinental Hotels Group for many years, almost 10. And he taught me so much about, building a team, leading a team, how to be humble, how to listen, constantly, making sure that, if you look out for others, good things will happen to you and those around you. And he just demonstrated that as a senior executive for so many years. And it taught me so much about how I wanted to lead and how I wanted to not just run my professional life, but my personal life as well. And, it's one thing to have a mentor where you can check in and have time with that person, here or there. And those are great. And I think they're tremendous. What's even more incredible is when you can have a mentor you can work side by side with every day for a decade. and just really get to see that person in all types of circumstances, the good, the bad, the ugly, the hard, the easy, because that's really the true side of character, when you see somebody in all of those circumstances. And I was just so super fortunate to have Eric in my life. And, he's unfortunately no longer with us. And, he left us way too soon in life, but I will never forget what he, helped me build and do. And I spend a lot of time trying to carry that on.
No, that's great. And thank you for sharing Eric's story, and, rest in peace for sure. And we need more people like that, right? And he obviously had a huge impact in your professional life, and also sounds like in your personal life. And that's the great thing about mentorship is it's flexible, it's real time. It's not restricted to one part of your life. It's all of your life. And that's what young
Right.
people need more and more, even more so now with all the challenges they're navigating. When you think back to your childhood or college, or when you were younger, was someone that stood out that was a mentor that helped you sort of during that pivotal moment? Because we know young people facing challenges or life issues, they need people to pour into them. And sometimes it was a coach, sometimes it was a teacher or someone else. But does anybody come to mind that's kind of stood out as you were growing up?
So I'm a total space and aviation geek. I think it comes from just being a general technology geek since I was a very young kid. I taught myself to code at 8, and, code there in probably air quotes. But, I think that, there were two people that stood out to me. One was General Chuck Yeager. The other was a gentleman by the name of Kelly Johnson. I think many people might know Chuck Yeager as the man who broke the sound barrier, first man that ever broke, fly faster than the speed of sound. And, he was a rule breaker in a, highly restrictive rule following Air Force organization. And, he found that way to balance breaking the rules and pushing the envelope to accomplish the outcome that, he was challenged with. And then if you look at Kelly Johnson, really the leader of the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works operation that happened to build my favorite airplane, the SR-71. And when you look at Kelly, what Kelly was able to do was assemble a group of people to accomplish more than they ever thought was possible. Small team, small budget, usually given the basement of a building, kind of underinvested in. And he just demonstrated time after time that he could take, that group of individuals and accomplish far more than anybody thought that they would. And when you look at, the outcomes that team achieved over the years, and the Skunk Works still being alive today, producing some of the best aircraft that the U.S. Has to offer. I just think that type of mindset, the person that's willing to kind of put themselves out there, willing to kind of push the edge a little bit, be a little bit provocative, but also stand behind their people, stand behind them, and help them feel like they can accomplish more than they ever thought they could when they started, more than the budget, said that was possible, more than the science at the time might dictate. I find those people, and I studied them and watched them, from a very young age, and still use them as examples today when I'm mentoring people, looking at how did they solve problems, how did they attack the team, how did they, go through everything that they were going through. I just find them to be, remarkable, in terms of their ability to lead a team.
Definitely. And it sounds like you found your passion at a young age. Like, it sounds like technology, and that's always been a part. Where did you find that passion?
My dad was a CFO for a large Fortune 500 company growing up. And back in the day, the CFO was kind of really the first, group that the finance organization was the first group to bring technology into a company, because they were trying to figure out how to automate the books, the record keeping, and how do you close the books each month. And they bought computers to figure out how to build spreadsheets, because before that it was all just done via paper, and people would type it up. And so he kind of ran the first back office technology group for what is now Sara Lee Knit Products, which was Hanes back in the day. And so one day he just brought home a computer, and he's like, my team thinks that we should buy these and it would help. I don't know what it is. What do you know about it? And I think it just started a lifelong love for me to kind of just be, inquisitive and kind of figure it out, play with it, tinker with it, figure out what it could do, what it couldn't do. And, that just led to, building computers, writing code, and just, the love of technology, and constantly learning and teaching myself new things. But I really have to kind of credit my dad for, and I don't know that he really actually thought about it. I think he brought it home really around like trying to get some help. Like, what do I do here? It really had an impact on me.
Thank you for sharing that. Well, thank you for being a part of the Iconic Mentor Auction. Thank you for being a part of this interview. And in closing, what would you tell others about why you decided to get involved with Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and why they should be involved as well?
Well, I've had so many colleagues over the years that were deeply involved in the organization. And, I was involved in, like I said, Habitat for Humanity and other organizations. And so, you can only spread yourself so many ways. And, but I always remembered and listening to their stories about how much impact that they felt like they personally had on people. And I just love that personal connection. You're not at arm's reach, you're right there. And, I just think the organization is amazing. I think the outcomes that the organization has created are tremendous. The stories I've heard firsthand and seen over the years just have always been, something that I've said, wow, as I, roll off of, one organization and free up time, I want to start getting involved more in Big Brothers Big Sisters, and this opportunity came up, and I just can't wait to see how the whole auction goes. It's exciting to be able to give back and help ways to raise money, but it's also exciting to be able to meet folks and help them in their own careers. So it's just a win-win for everybody.
Great. Thank you, Bryson. We appreciate you, appreciate the partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Iconic Mentor Auction this year.
You bet.
Thanks. John, are we